We are go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
It's the Weiliotis podcast.
I like it.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Weiliotis podcast, where two grown men talk about movies in order to ward off their seasonal depression. I'm your host, Tom Weiliotis, and with me, as always, is the great Mikey Wheel. How you doing, Mikey?
Hey, what's going on? I'm doing good. I just want to give you major props on that intro. That was fantastic.
Thank you. I was really practicing that today. I had to get that right.
No, that was great. You nailed it. And I love your description of the last episode. Like, normally when I post our episodes on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I try to come up with something. But the way that you posted it, describing our episode about all of the movies we watched in 2021 to make sure we didn't lose our minds or something.
Yeah, it was something like these are the movies or whatever that made 2021 just a little bit more bearable.
Yes.
Just like you said, it just helped us get through, and that was a really fun episode to do because I just love doing top anything, top 5, 10, whatever. Always fun.
And for the listeners, I won't spoil it quite yet, but today we're talking about one of our favorites of last year. We couldn't just talk about it on last episode. We had to cover it all here. But no, this is exciting. This is our first official episode of 2022 of a newer movie.
Yes.
So I'm excited to talk about that. We're using our blue microphones for the second time, which is exciting. So that's good. We'll get
Yeti hit us up. We're always accepting. We'll take anything we can get. So
just send us a hat. We'll take a hat if you want.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'll pay for the shipping and handling. Yeah, whatever you have. Also, we'll just knock out our sponsors: water, quality H2O, trees, all over both hemispheres.
Yes, and I heard that trees, also consume water like we do.
Yep, and water sometimes consumes trees, like if they fall into the water. Of course. And then Ridgelight Studios.
Ridgelight.
My hat got dirty. This is a photography company based out of New Hampshire. Check them out for your wedding, your promo items, your drone photography, real estate, commercial. Check them out. They're awesome. Run by some very, very good friends of mine who also happen to do very good work. Because I feel like often we promote, our friends about things, and you're like, hey, check out this person. They're like, are they reliable? And you're like, no.
But no,
great company.
They're great. Honored to have them on the podcast. I'll have to start. I don't think I have in the last one. I have to start linking their social media, their website in our descriptions.
Oh, yeah. That's when it's official. That's when you know you have a sponsor.
Oh yeah. So happy to have them as a sponsor. And as Mikey said, we're talking about Don't Look Up today, new Adam McKay movie that came out very late last year, and I'm glad we're doing a singular episode on it because there's a lot to talk about. And watching it again recently, I have come to appreciate a lot more about it than I did the first time. And also, I kind of want to dive into some criticisms too, because it's funny. I feel like for every glowing review, there's 5 really negative reviews for this movie. It seems like.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's definitely from people who just don't like Adam McKay in general. But I don't know. I don't know. Out of his whole filmography, to me, this is definitely one of his more ambitious and unique movies for sure.
Yeah, I watched it with my family at Christmas time, which was great. I think it came out December 24th, 25th, maybe Christmas.
Yeah.
Slid in right in the end of 2021 and was it in your top 5?
Honorable mentions, not top 5, but if I had to make a top 20, it would definitely be in my top, probably even my top 10 potentially.
Yeah, I think it was my top 5. It was just, of course we'll get into it, but I would say my only criticism of it, it's too damn long. Every movie these days is because when I go to the movies, I still worry about COVID going to the movies, and I'm like, you know what? You go to an hour and 20-minute movie, there's not that much of a chance of maybe getting COVID as long as you're sitting 6 feet away from people. But then you go in and every movie's 2.5 hours long and you're just sitting there, and then the trailers are 30 minutes, and I think I literally timed it out at Spider-Man or something that I don't know, Scream, that the trailers were 20, 25, 27 minutes. And when I saw Scream, they played the trailer for the new Foo Fighters movie where they record their 10th studio album in a house that is haunted and possesses Dave Grohl. I remember when I saw the description of it, I was like, this sounds dumb. Why is it over 2 hours long?
I know.
And then I saw the trailer and was very excited about it. But that is my only criticism of Don't Look Up.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think I said in the last episode, and I abide by this in general, that I like long movies as long as the time is justified.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not, like, if I see a movie that's 2.5 hours long, I'm not immediately going to be like, oh, that sucks. But in a lot of cases, in fact, in most cases, I feel like, I'm like you, why is this long? This could easily be an hour 50 or something. You could cut off some fat. And yeah, maybe there's a little bit of fat that could be trimmed off. Don't Look Up. But,
I watched the Eternals the other day. Which
it's
was
a long one.
The
You didn't like it?
The plot's great. When the variants like gained consciousness and like started to turn human-like, I thought that was really cool, really creepy. But I think I said about it, it would have been an hour shorter if there weren't so many damn close-ups of people's facial reactions on beaches. Most of the movie was like Angelina Jolie turning to the camera on a beach, Kumail Nanjiani turning to the camera on a beach. I think to me it was very much like New Mutants and Suicide Squad because like the CGI and the monsters were just real stupid to me, and just like
I mean they're kind
didn't
of
care
like,
for them.
I mean obviously they look good, like they're well rendered and textured and everything, but they kind of just have that like generic like, ooh, these were like cosmic monsters, you know, nothing about it, like I'm not thinking about it constantly. Although I will say about the like the close-ups and stuff on the beach, the whole final battle on the beach was beautiful. Like it looked beautiful. Honestly, in my opinion, one of the cooler looking like final fights in like an MCU movie. But overall, kind of just it's whatever. I mean, I know it's like an introduction movie to the Eternals. Hopefully, like they'll do more with it, and I know they will, obviously. But
I didn't hate the ending where the bad guy kind of just let the good guys win due to love. I thought that was kind of an interesting twist. Like that wasn't terrible. It was but the whole time I'm thinking one of the women's Jennifer Lawrence, and I'm thinking one of the guys is Bucky, Sebastian Stan. Like a lot of the cast of this movie looked like other people from other movies.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was Sebastian Stan the whole time. I kept Googling it. I was like, is Bucky in this movie? But
wait,
I guess
did you think that Richard Madden was
the bad guy, right?
Yeah, who is an Eternal, but he turns a bad. I forget his name. Yeah, that's Richard Madden, who's also really well known for Game of Thrones. He's Rob Stark in Game of Thrones.
I thought he was Sebastian Stan like the whole movie, even though
he does.
Even after I knew it wasn't Sebastian Stan, I was like, oh, it's Sebastian Stan. I think let me give you 2 movie reviews of mine that I wrote in my head recently.
Okay.
The Eternals just wrote 2 minutes ago. Just because the movie focuses on people that have been alive for 7,000 years doesn't mean I need to have felt like I just sat through a movie for 7,000 years.
Oh my god.
That would be my review of that.
That's great. That sounds like that you should see that on like Rotten Tomatoes, like little blurb thing.
I could be one of those people. I'd have to say it's contrived and irreverent, because every review has to say the words contrived and irreverent.
Absolutely.
The new Jackass movie was contrived and irreverent. Anyway, that and then the new Scream movie. My review was the only thing trying to be more meta than this movie is Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook.
Hey.
That is how I felt. With that, should we dive into our recent watches?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to go first? Anything? TV shows, movies?
Sure. So it's been I don't know. I guess it's been a short week, quick week. We usually have longer time between episodes, I feel.
Me too.
So for me, my Sundays, I think I probably talked about last time, my Sundays recently wrapped up, which were filled with Dexter, Succession, Curb Your Enthusiasm, and Yellow Jackets. But now Billions just came back. That's my Succession's off-season show. So I just watched the first episode of Billions.
What season is it on now?
Season 6, final season. No Damian Lewis. Wow. New antagonist in it. And Damian Lewis just spoke up for the first time about his wife passing away, and that's a big reason why he left the show. But they did say he could show up. There could be an appearance in the season. So I've been watching that. I've been watching on Amazon Prime this show called As We See It. It focuses on three. It's a scripted television fictional show, but it focuses on three people with Asperger's in California, and they all live in the same apartment together. And it focuses on their lives, the lives of like some of their family members, and then the woman who is their aide. And I started watching it because there's a comedian, Rick Glassman. He hosts a very popular podcast, Take Your Shoes Off. He was on Bill Lawrence's show Undateable. I saw him do stand up in Denver and met him real quick, and just been a big fan of him forever. Listen to his podcast a lot where he talks about realizing he has, he's on the spectrum later on in life. So the show is about that, and all three of the main characters are all on the spectrum, and I've been watching interviews with them, and it's on Amazon Prime, so if you have that, it's a free show, and I can't recommend it enough. It's a beautiful, beautiful show. I think it's maybe 8 or 10 episodes in the first season. You can binge it all at once.
And you watched all of it?
I think I'm on episode 5 or 6, pretty much.
Oh, nice.
It's a roller coaster of a show. There's a lot that happens in it. So been watching that. Saw the Scream movie. That's the only theatrical movie I've seen.
Saw that too.
Yeah,
what'd you think? Because you texted me and you're like, I don't like this. Like,
I hated it. It was like, because of course in the Scream universe, there's Stab, the movie's about what happens to them, and it's just like the movie was like a movie within a movie about a movie, parodying a movie that was a sequel, repeat, prequel, requel of a movie within a movie, and like I was so surprised there was not a scene in the movie where they broke the fourth wall. Because so much of the movie was like, well, Stab is technically not a remake or a sequel, blah, blah, blah. And then they talk about how the new Stab is not called like Stab 8, it's just called Stab. And this new Scream movie is not called like Scream 5 or 6, it's called Scream. So I like the actors a lot. I saw it because
it's great cast.
I love Kyle Gallner, who died very quickly in that. I love him. And then I love Dylan Minnette from 13 Reasons Why.
He's great.
Jack Quaid from The Boys, and then it reunites the whole original cast.
Also, I can't remember her name. I feel bad, but she's also in Yellow Jackets too. The film nerd. Yeah. Yep. I was happy to see her in this too. And
the Jamie Kennedy of the movie. I
yes.
enjoyed. Spoiler alerts, of course, but I enjoyed how she survived at the end. And I think what I did like about this, one thing I hated about it was like, and I don't think they meant to do this, even though it could have been smart. Is like the whole movie, they're like, let's not separate, and then they separate. Even the ones who are the killers, who are like, let's separate, like, sure, but then even the ones who aren't the killers, they're separating the whole movie. They're like, let me go outside just for a minute. And like, there's just, what's his name? When Officer Dewey goes off and does what he does, and it's just like, the movie was so many people did not need to die. They were just really stupid. And I thought that was really dumb. And then on top of it, I would say what I liked and didn't like was this was the first time that Ghostface was like, what's the word? Just you watch, Army of the Dead with Zack Snyder, and you watch all of these movies. What is it? The one with Brad Pitt, what's that zombie one? World War Z.
World War Z, yep.
And you watch these movies and you go, these zombies are super fast. You go, anybody can survive the Walking Dead zombies. All you have to do is spin around them and you can avoid them. Then you watch World War Z, you watch Army of the Dead, you go, oh yeah, I've last 5 seconds.
Yes.
In this movie, this was the first time that Ghostface was like super fast, I thought, and just like super violent. Like in the other movies, he'll like just kind of walk around the house, or she walk around the house and be like, gut stab, and then walk away. This movie, like, that was what scared me. He, like, Ghostface was fast, stabbed a lot of times at once. Like, I guess relentless would probably be the word. Just like,
yeah, I agree. The deaths were really gory in this one, which is cool. I think that's an upgrade. And I guess I don't know. I liked it. I had fun with it, but I kind of agree with what you're saying, where I guess it's getting to the point where they're becoming so meta, and they're just referencing the movies so often that it kind of it doesn't have the same effect, I guess, as the older movies, where it, obviously when Scream and like Scream 2 came out, this was a much newer concept. This was at a time, this was almost like, I don't know if I'd call Scream like post slasher, but it probably is, because it basically took every convention of a slasher movie and put it up for everyone to see. It was like, look, we're going to talk about these and we're going to poke fun at them. And then this one, I mean, even the opening scene, which kind of recreates the opening scene from the first one, you know,
Yep.
when he asks what's your favorite scary movie, the main girl, her name Jenny Ortega, she's like, I only watch, like art house A24 movies, like, Hereditary. And I thought that was great, but
Yeah.
it's also very like on the nose, like, and there's a lot of that, and obviously it's kind of to be expected from these movies, but I did love the cast, like you said, Jack Quaid, also Mikey Madison, who, and actually I don't want to spoil anything, but she's also, the only other movie I know her from is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it's kind of funny because
Who's she in that? Who's she in Scream?
So she's one of the, like, in the group of like high schoolers, she's like one of the friends. And in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, she's like the hippie at the end who like gets set on fire by Leo.
Oh, is she the one with purple hair in Scream? The
The
girlfriend?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. No, I don't think so. But she's I'm trying to say anything without spoiling. Although I probably
No,
will
go
spoil
for it. Go for it.
All right. Well, because obviously Jack Quaid is one of the killers. She's the other killer.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
not the one else. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because she, I mean, might as well spoil it because she literally has the same fate in Once Upon a Time. It's like she goes crazy. She gets like stabbed or shot. And she's like screaming, and then she gets someone like pushes her onto the oven or stovetop, and she like gets set on fire. It's like, it literally is like this. It's almost very similar to that movie, and I'm like, all right, they clearly were inspired by Tarantino.
I love that there's a Hispanic actor who has played the same character name in everything he's ever been in.
Oh, really?
And I forget who it is, but he plays the same name in every IMDb credit. Like, I love when you because this woman's career in 20 years, she might be able to look back on it and, be like, woman set on fire in 15 of the 20 movies she's done. That's like, who is it? Who's the actor that's killed the most in anything? Sean.
Who is killed the most?
Yeah, Sean. What's his name?
Oh, Sean Bean.
Sean Bean. Yeah.
He's like notorious for like he dies like halfway, if there's that, through everything he's in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boromir in Lord of the Rings, he gets fucking arrow through the heart and then
Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, sorry. I know it's been 20 years, but shit. Like...
they're working on the Amazon show, a $1 billion show that should be coming out soon.
Which,
$1 billion.
I'm pretty hyped for that, honestly, because I mean,
Ice Caps or Lord of the Rings TV series. Which ones do we want to save?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe it's because I don't give a shit about Lord of the Rings, but like $1 billion TV show, or like start farming again, or growing crops, or teaching people how to live sustainably, or
saving the earth,
recycling efforts.
Yeah, that's kind of important too, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, I guess I liked it enough. But also, I will say one thing too about the new Scream. We're getting to the point now where the legacy characters, Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox and David Arquette, like they kind of feel like an afterthought in this movie, and in a sense, like obviously they do play a major role. But it kind of just feels like they're all living their separate lives. Like they're all like not even in the same like state anymore. So they're all being brought back, which is a cool idea, I guess. But I don't know. It's just like I guess it's kind of cool at the end when they defeat Ghostface. But it's getting to that point, like I said, where it just kind of feels like all right, they're getting so separated, far removed from this whole idea. That I don't know. It's like they got to figure something out now. Like if they want to continue this series, I feel like they really got to like get creative with it, and not just like lambast like slasher movies, because we're already like post slasher at this point, like in time. So
I love when like movies or TV shows do that joke where it's almost like, I don't know why I'm having Arrested Development in my head, but like it'll be like, and then Tom said he wasn't going to talk about Scream. And then it cuts to the immediate next scene. It's like, and then Tom spoke about Scream. That's how this movie felt to me, is like Sidney Prescott's like, I'll never come back. And then it cuts to the next scene. It's like Sidney driving into the town. She's like, I'm back. And it's like,
I got a babysitter.
Family. You have a yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, I can't do this again, guys. Kids got soccer practice. I would say this. The Scream TV show, I was on MTV. I think there are 3 seasons. I only watched the first 2, but the TV show was phenomenal. Highly recommend it. Super violent. One of those like, how is this on basic cable? Like super violent, graphic, gory, twisted.
Now when did this come out? When did that show come out?
I'd say like in the last 5 years, there were about 2 or 3 seasons, 2 or 3 seasons, and maybe that's what kind of got the hype for this movie up again. But there was just, I hated this movie, I think, and it was one of those you walk out and you're like, that was not worth COVID. That was not worth
Yeah.
running the risk of getting COVID sitting through. And of course, there were like 15, 14-year-olds in the movie theater behind us who,
Oh, fun.
who had like one mom with them, and she could only do so much to keep them quiet. But I did like the trailers. I mean, I'm a person who likes to be there for the trailers, and it's cool to see a horror movie because you get to see horror trailers.
Yeah.
When you go to see an R-rated movie, you're going to see R-rated trailers. When you go to see Marvel, it's going to be Marvel trailers. So I thought that was cool. And then speaking of a certain Marvel movie, Tom, you saw one recently.
Yes, finally saw Spider-Man No Way Home. And I really genuinely loved it. I'm excited. I want to see it again, which again, if you've been listening, you know that I'm usually pretty critical of Marvel. As much as I overall, I like the majority of stuff I've seen. I tend to be underwhelmed by a lot of movies, but this one was satisfying. A good kind of capper to this new Tom Holland trilogy. And you mentioned in the last episode, you're like, there's so many callbacks, and there's a lot of great callbacks, and it's done in a very tasteful way. It's not at times it's very haha, get it, remember the Sam Raimi movies, but it's still fun, and they do it in a smart way. And I mean, God, the scene when all the Spider-Mans are just working together to try and solve all the problems and stop all these villains. It's so good.
You should refer to them as
Spider-Man.
Yeah. All the Spider-Men out there.
Yeah, all the Spider-Men, yeah.
I know you say you don't really cry at much, but you get emotional. How emotional did you get when Andrew Garfield's character caught MJ? And he finally had that redemption moment?
Yes.
I mean, that scene was and the scene with the three of them up on the building when they're all talking to each other about being Spider-Man. I loved it. I think everybody, I didn't think Tobey Maguire was going to put in a lot of effort, but he was amazing. Andrew Garfield. There's petitions and protests about getting Andrew Garfield a third movie. A lot of people want it. I have to say, I always loved Thomas Hayden Church's character the most, the Sandman. I always loved his backstory and his origin story.
It too. Love it.
Loved him in this. Hated Jamie Foxx. I don't know why. I don't know if it was his character, his acting. It was just
he was fun, but
it seemed like he was shooting for Blade. A very I just pictured him he's just putting on sunglasses and being time to electrify, and I didn't love his, and maybe he did it justice. I don't know what he's like in the comics and all that, but I did not care for his character.
I kind of agree because so all the other villains that come into play, there is an emotional attachment to for instance, obviously you have Doc Ock, you have Green Goblin from the Sam Raimi movie, so there is kind of an attachment there between them and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And Electro was obviously from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, but they didn't really have any there was nothing really between them. There was no crazy conflict. So, and I agree, he was Jamie Foxx, he's always fun to watch. He has great energy, he's a great actor, but yeah, in this movie he was probably the most typical villain. Him, both between him and the lizard guy, they were just the most typical, just he's oh man, I got all this power, I can't wait to use it. And that was kind of his whole thing. Whereas there was a lot more to Doc Ock. He obviously was his whole arc was cool in the movie because he actually ends up kind of helping them a lot more.
I get the chills thinking about him because when he turns good, he never turned bad again, and that's what I really appreciated.
And it was a huge aha moment. He's oh my god, he's this is what it feels like to be free again. You know, not to be ruled by my these tentacles, and and obviously everything with William Dafoe is so cool. He's such a creepy actor. I love him.
He was on SNL last night.
That's right.
A very, very funny episode. He's very good at making fun of himself, which I appreciate. I also want to bring up, and I'm a person who has to more Google post-credit scenes to fully understand them. The Eternals has 2 post-credits to it. Yes. And one of them is Harry Styles coming in as some new character. Yep. Apparently he had a lot of fun on set and always wanted to be a part of everything. I thought he was going to be in it, not just the credits. Do you know what the other post credit is with
It's with I think I saw both. Yeah, it was, what's his name? Jon Snow.
Jon Snow, and he pulls the sword out because throughout the movie you're kind of all right, he's not telling her about his family past. He's probably going to connect. Do you know whose voice is at the very end? I had to Google it. But do you know his voice? He goes to pull the sword out, and you hear Blade's voice say, "Are you sure you're ready?" And it's Mahershala Ali.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't have known that if I didn't Google it. But I was that made me like want to rewatch the ending and be like, oh, cool. Like now I'm really excited.
Yeah, which by the way,
Yeah.
that's such good casting.
But
because obviously Wesley is like, to me, like that's like he is Blade. Like he's so good in the role.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna recast, I mean, Mahershala also fantastic choice.
my only thing I didn't like about Spider-Man was I did not like the post-credit scene with Doctor Strange. So I'm like head over heels. I am so ecstatic for the new Doctor Strange enter the Mad Universe. Just I swear I'm excited. I'm so excited for it. It's the second horror movie in the Marvel franchise. It's Sam Raimi. It's gonna be terrifying. I'm gonna see it in IMAX 3D. I'll drive to wherever the remaining IMAX 3D theaters are. I'm so excited to see it. But I was very upset because the second post-credit scene, or first, of the new Spider-Man movie was just the trailer for the new Doctor Strange. So it was the exact frame by frame trailer, and they've never done that. I don't think at the end of a Marvel, where like it just kind of seemed phoned in. There was no
I agree. I was surprised by that.
Every post credit is one joke scene and one big setup. And that was a big setup, but then you like go home and you pop up like the iTunes trailer app or something, and it's like, ooh, new trailer for Strange, Doctor Strange into the what universe?
I forget what the actual title is. It's like into like into the madness or something. But yeah,
it was the exact same trailer, and I was like, that seemed phoned in. Like you're gonna make a 2.5 hour Marvel movie that probably cost you like $1 billion for your cast alone, and then you're just gonna like use a trailer for a post credit scene.
No, I agree. I almost wish they like even just having a quick scene. It could honestly, it probably should have just been Doctor Strange going up to Scarlet Witch or whatever. And being like, will you help me? And then like cut from there, and then it would.
That was the other scene, right?
Yeah, because obviously the other mid credit scene or whatever was cutting back to Venom, because obviously at the end, was it the end of the end of Venom, the end of Venom, the last one that just came out.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They get transported into the MCU, and it's like, and they see Spider-Man on TV, and at the end of this one, he's like, they're like still trying to look for him, and they obviously get sent back to their world, but obviously a little bit of the of Venom gets left behind. So obviously,
I was gonna say also kind of phoned in for a second too, because that was kind of the ending of Venom. It wasn't the exact same shot, but the whole like Venom on vacation was very similar. And do you know who the bartender was?
No, I don't.
Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso.
Oh,
he's the player who goes like, Danny Rojas, soccer is life.
I guess I'm not far enough in yet. But
Spoiler alert on Ted Lasso.
We've been spoiling everything right now, which is cool because it's been out long enough, I guess. But no, it was great overall. Like I said, I feel like really the emotional side to it was extremely well done. Like you said, with kind of things being tied up between like the different Spider-Man and their enemies, and then even with especially with Tom Holland was so good in this.
And they're doing another trilogy with him too, which is no surprise. I mean,
now I'm excited because like I like the first two enough, Homecoming and Far From Home. Like I like them enough, but this one I felt was like, okay, we're seeing a lot more from Tom Holland as Spider-Man. The stakes actually seemed very high in this one. And obviously there is kind of the nostalgia factor as well, but again, they handled it very tastefully. And
this one took place in New York. Oh, sorry, what were we saying?
No, it's and even all the nostalgic stuff, even bringing back all these other characters. I've heard from people, oh, this is kind of fan service, but I'm like, if it's fan service, they handled it the best way they possibly could.
Yeah,
so.
I truly loved it. I loved all of the. I was gonna say this one took place in New York City, right?
Yeah, yep.
Because I like that. It was the first Tom Holland that wasn't like took place overseas and like randomly that's where the bad guy is. I rewatched the Jake Gyllenhaal one, which I had never finished the first time I watched it. I enjoyed it. I think I hated it the first time I saw it around because I was like, there are no superpowers. He's just a guy with a green screen, and I just didn't care for that. The second time around, I really like the motive. I like the Tony Stark part. I like how he pulled that off. I like the technology. So I did like that one a lot more second time around.
I love the concept behind Mysterio in the second one because he almost is like he's like creating fake news. Like if to put it in the most like bluntly, he's like, okay, I'm gonna create these fake villains, and so I can be propped up as this like ultra, Avenger like
The
hero,
savior.
which is
Yeah.
cool. That's a cool concept. But I feel like the problem really the main problem I have with the first two is that they're so like I feel like they have this constant need to reference the Avengers like every 2 seconds. I feel like it's like, oh, this happened.
Yeah.
Remember when this happened? This happened. But I didn't feel that with this one. This one felt more standalone in a lot of ways.
It's very soapy with like Tom Holland's character, like, I miss Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly. Like they have to keep referencing the past movies, the past Avengers, and that got a little annoying. But I guess again, in this new one, you're right. It feels more self-contained to New York City, and yeah, no, I
The,
loved it.
the thing that I read most about it, and I don't follow the comics of anything, but the thing I read like a lot about it and that I appreciated, I guess, after kind of learning all these things, was like it was the first Spider-Man movie where it was like a true high schooler. Because like the Andrew Garfield one, he's in college. The other one, Tobey Maguire, I think high school and college a little bit, but like
Tobey Maguire in the first one, well, he already graduates high school in the first movie. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, was that what
Yeah.
it was?
Yeah.
Like this one, like I didn't like Aunt May dying. I was very surprised she died and is dead. But she's in the Spider-Man story, an aunt or uncle dies, and this what happens. But I guess like the fact that Jon Favreau kind of just, I wish that he hated Spider-Man a little bit more for killing the love of his life. And like, I don't know. I guess that's what I also appreciate about these Spider-Man movies is like, he just keeps fucking up. He's a high schooler who keeps fucking up.
Yeah.
And they keep kicking him out of the Avengers and inviting him back in. And he gets a bunch of city damage happens around him. And his aunt dies and all this stuff happens. But it's all kind of like forgiven because he's this like 16-year-old kid going through puberty while saving the world and trying to figure out love and everything. So like, I think that's what I appreciate about this is it's just a true
like representation of Peter Parker. And yeah, I agree because like that's actually a great point because he is very sloppy in all these movies. Like he makes a ton of mistakes. He's goofy. And Tom Holland really sells it big time. So I agree. But great final capper to the trilogy. I'm definitely excited to see what they do now with
I was gonna say first trilogy. Yeah.
A whole new trilogy. I'm excited. I think they're going in the right direction with these. But yeah, that's also about it for me too. I think really just those movies. I think we're about it for other than what we're talking about today. Don't Look Up. I think that's about it for what I watched movie wise, at least.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have the iTunes trailer pulled up the website because that's how I get my upcoming movie news. But yeah, what are you excited about for upcoming stuff? What news have you come across?
I do want to mention one thing too, as far as what I've been watching. Also, I almost forgot. I have been watching Peacemaker.
Yeah,
which is great. Watch it seriously. Like go watch it because it's like it's so James Gunn. He has this. He wrote every episode. He directed the first 2 episodes. He might even directed some of the last one. I'm not sure yet. But also Jody Hill is a director on this too, who is known for working with Danny McBride. Obviously,
really,
yeah. Which it's such a perfect fit. And all the episodes are so funny. So it's so well written. It's goofy, it's violent, it still can be serious. And also, this is the best thing I've ever seen John Cena in, like bar none. Like he's so good in this.
This is like the 15th superhero he's auditioned for. I mean, like
true.
This is his first starring role, which is super exciting.
Are
they hour-long episodes?
No, they're more like 35, 45 minutes. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm waiting. I think I'm trying to just work on what I'm currently watching, but I feel like subconsciously I'm waiting for it to all to be out at once because I know I'm gonna love it so much. I just want to binge it all.
Oh man, yeah, this is the show you want to binge because honestly, like after because my roommate and I we caught up so fast, and then by the time we had to wait, it was like, oh god, like now we're only gonna get these 35-minute episodes, but no, I'm excited because also too I won't say anything more about it, but other than the intro. It's one of the greatest television intros ever. Like
credits or like first scene.
Yeah, no, like the intro credits.
Yeah,
good. It's so I won't say anything about it, but it's so good. It's so funny.
I'm gonna start it tonight because I have heard that. Good. On the topic of James Gunn, I rewatched. So I love his horror stuff. Slither. I don't remember Slither that well. I need to rewatch it.
It's so good.
He made Belko Experiment, which was based off of a dream he had.
Did he direct it?
Nope, wrote it and produced it.
Oh, okay.
And then he wrote and produced Brightburn, which if you are a fan of horror and comic books, it's not Superman, it's not Clark Kent, it's not, that trademark, but Brightburn is 100% about what would happen if Superman used his powers for good. What's her
Wait, for
name?
good or for evil?
Sorry, for evil. If he did,
Okay.
yeah. It's Elizabeth Banks, and then another actor who I love from The Office, Out Cold, Big Fish. But it's basically them. They live on a farm. They're trying to get pregnant. A spaceship crashes. They raise this boy. They start to notice he's different, and then he immediately, once he learns about his powers, uses them for evil. And I think it was another one of the movies like Belko Experiment that James Gunn wrote and produced. I think even like his brother directed it or something. There's a couple like other Guns around this movie. Not Sean Gunn either. But anyway, it's an hour and 20-minute movie. I remember seeing it in theaters, and I just have to say it is extremely, extremely unpleasant and disturbing and hard to watch. So if you're into those movies, it is extremely graphic and violent, and James Gunn. Steve Aggee's in it, which is great because he's in Suicide Squad. They're good friends.
Oh, nice.
It is extremely, extremely I want you to watch it as soon as possible.
I really want to now because you've talked about it before. It sounds awesome, and I remember seeing the trailers. I was all about it.
Yeah, great cast. Badger from Breaking Bad is in it.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah. But yeah, what do you try to think of movie news? So one of the things was Tom Cruise might be showing up as Iron Man. I think.
Yeah, I did hear about that a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that. What else? Oh, Louis Anderson.
Yeah, it's so
Louis
sad.
Anderson just passed away, which was awful because me and you are such big fans of Baskets, and
it's the best.
I mean,
and he's so amazing in it.
And he's like Howie Mandel because he's one of those people who like has been in our lives since we were children. I mean, he's done voice acting. I was watching. I just turned on the TV the other day and there was an old game show, and he was on the end of that. I mean, he's been around forever. Family Feud.
And he has his little part in Coming to America, the original one. He had what was it, Life with Louie, the cartoon.
Yeah,
which
that's what. The Bobby's World like equivalent that we grew up on. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's funny because oh yeah, because you just mentioned Howie Mandel. It's funny because I saw an image someone shared online. It was just a random group on Facebook, but they shared an image of like a can of like it was like SpaghettiOs, but it was like Life with Louie like SpaghettiOs. So it was so like of its time, but I loved it. And people obviously sharing stuff from his past, and yeah, Baskets. I just watched that all of it back in like November, and I was so amazed with his performance as Christine. And then recently, my roommate showed me a little kind of behind the scenes when they were filming it, and like how he got into character. And he was so method, like he took it so serious. Like basically, when he got the makeup on and everything, he would not respond to Louis. It was only Christine. And
I need you to send me that.
Oh, I will. And it's crazy because like he talked about how like everything was based on his mom. He based Christine all on his mom. And like it's beautiful. Like he's one of my favorite TV characters ever. Like
Baskets is the most anti Mikey Wheel show imaginable. It really. I mean,
so?
we've talked about this so much on the podcast. It's so fucking dry and meta and dialogue driven, and nothing happens, and it's just bare bones, I guess.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
But at the same time, it's brilliant. It's beautiful. I've never used the word poignant before, but I feel like it's that as well.
It is.
And that's another word you always see on reviews, but it's that. It's such a fantastic show. Martha is in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
The Jake Gyllenhaal one. And her acting to me it's like Anne O'Dowd. Anne O'Dowd from Handmaid's Tale. If I ever saw her in real life, I would tell her like to F off. I mean, she's such a fantastic evil actress in everything she's in. She's probably very nice in her life. I can't picture Martha like going to a party in real life, or like I can't picture her being anybody else but Martha because she's so good. And I mean the Costco product placement in the show. I mean, it's
some of the funniest product placement I've ever seen because it's like they don't hide the fact that it's even product placement, but they just run with it. Like they just.
It might not even be product placement.
No, it is. I looked into it.
It is okay.
Like, well, Costco is a big one because it's in every season, and obviously Martha works there, so like you know, they make that a point in most episodes, but also like there's an episode, so Christine in the show, I think season 1 or 2, no, it's season 1, I think, where we learn that she has like two adopted sons, and they're both like identical twins, and like they're music producers or DJs.
Yep.
And I remember
DJs,
the first episode, they're like, "Mom, we got you a gift," and it's just it's like a case of like Dasani water. And like Christine's just like, "Wow," she's like, "Dasani water, like this is like fancy water," like, and she's just talking about it for like minutes at a time. It's
I was
so
gonna say,
funny.
isn't she always offering people Dasani water on the show?
I think so. Yeah, I think that was the episode that like I kicked it off. But like, it was so, like I said, it was such obvious product placement. But they were like, no, like, let's not take our time and just like slide. Let's just make it the forefront and like make jokes about it. And to me, that's what makes it genius. That's what makes the whole Costco thing funny, because like they don't hide the fact that it's even product placement in the first place.
Your
You know?
Christine impression is very Owen Wilson, and now I want to see. I want to have Owen Wilson's wows put into Christine's mouth on the TV show.
Oh my god, I'm trying to figure it out.
Costco, wow.
Oh wow, we're gonna take a trip to Costco. Wow, I love Costco.
Wow.
No, I've been practicing my Christine.
Have you? Yeah. Were there? Oh, can you do one? Can you do some Christine?
Well, okay. So one thing I would say, because I think halfway or like season 3 or so, she buys the rodeo that Chip worked at.
Yeah.
So like multiple times she'd go, "All right, everybody, we're taking a trip to the rodeo." Like, so I always say that. Like,
It's good.
Yeah. No. Like I said, one of my favorite TV characters, and like it's so sad because again, we finished it, my roommate and I, in like November. Like, oh my god, we're just so big on Louis, one of the greatest comedians ever, and then just to hear this is just so sad. And
Were there supposed to be more seasons of the show?
I don't think so. I think it was, yeah. I mean, it got 4 seasons. I think that was about it. But
Yeah.
I remember when it ended, I was like, I conceptualized a spinoff show where it's just Christine and her husband that she met in Denver. Because at the end, I think the second to last or last episode, she moves to Denver because her husband has his carpet business there. And he's referred to as the Carpet King. So I had an idea of calling the show Christine and the Carpet King, and it could just be like a spinoff. Obviously can't happen anymore, but I'm like, if like, to me that would have been so good, because like I said, she's just such a good, and she became like, his character became like a fan favorite for sure.
Her husband?
No, Christine herself, like Louis' character became like a fan favorite, and like again, that clip I was talking about where he's talking about his method.
Yeah.
There's a scene when even Zach Galifianakis is interviewed, and he says something like, yeah, he's like now she's everyone's favorite, and he looks at the camera like damn it, like he took my spotlight away or whatever, but like, that's how good he was in the show. Like everyone was aware of it, which is awesome.
To anybody who's a fan of baskets, watch Zach Galifianakis Live at the Purple Onion. It's an early 2000s stand-up special of his, filmed in New York City. It's part stand-up special, part documentary. It's him and his brother, I think Seth, his twin brother, and interviews them. Because Zach Galifianakis has played his own fake twin brother at least 3 times now. He's done it on Baskets, he's done it in that, and then I want to say he did it in The Campaign, or one of his other movies. He's done it before.
Was it?
Yeah.
The Campaign? I don't remember.
God, I love that movie. I need to rewatch that.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a great scene in that movie where like, I'm trying to remember the context of it, but they're just showing like the constituents, like, talking about like their politicians and whatever, and like, we need this to happen, and then it just cuts to an old guy, and he says something like, honestly, I don't even know what the fuck is going on, and then just, like it just cuts away from that. Like that scene always stuck with me. Yeah, funny movie, but yeah, no, great show.
Trying to think of what.
Rest in peace, Louis.
I know. Ugh, I want to go back and watch some of his stand-up. For movie news, the last Uncharted trailer just dropped. Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg. I played the game a little bit, but not terribly.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that's coming out. I'm
not terribly interested.
It kind of just looks run of the mill, like the trailers I've seen.
Yeah.
And again, like I have also only played like little bits of the game, like with friends who have had a PS3 or 4, and I mean they're awesome games. They're really fun. They're almost like Tomb Raider like games, but I don't know. Like I always thought the casting of Mark Wahlberg was kind of weird as Sully, and even Tom Holland. I mean, obviously they're playing like a younger version of Nate, in this, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, I mean, it's a video game movie, so obviously there's a lot to be, who knows how it's going to turn out.
I want a Last of Us movie, and I want a
Well,
Far Cry
that's a happening, right? Or TV show
TV show. Yeah.
with
yeah.
Pedro Pascal, which is awesome.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
That, and then Far Cry 5, the cult. I would love that one.
Oh, yes.
Other trailers recently just dropped. Alicia Silverstone is in a new shark movie called The Requiem. I just watched the trailer. It's an interesting concept because the trailers are always the same, where it's like, let's go to Bermuda, let's go scuba diving. I don't want to. Sharks. This one, her and her husband are staying at a resort, and their place is like right above the water, and like a tsunami happens, and their house gets pushed out to sea, like the room that they're staying in. So I thought that was super more unique. There's I think a werewolf movie called The Cursed coming out. There's the Dave Grohl Foo Fighters movie Studio 66. There's a GameStop documentary coming out about the stock. Yep.
Actually, that makes sense. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. We mentioned last, but I mentioned a whole slew of movies coming out, but there's definitely a lot to look forward to in 2022.
Oh, the Foo Fighters movies, Studio 66. It's only an hour and 46 minutes. It is called Studio 666, directed by B.J. McDonnell. Actors, Foo Fighters. That's all it says. I love that. Actors, band.
But no, I mean, also, I mean, last episode I mentioned like Avatar 2 and all that, but there's also this new Alex Garland movie who made Ex Machina. There's the Batman, obviously. There's a new Robert Edgers movie who made The Witch and The Lighthouse. Yeah. The Northman. That looks cool. Halloween Ends is coming out this year. New Ari Aster movie. New Paul Schrader movie, new Martin Scorsese movie. There's a lot of stuff.
The Ari Aster movie has a fantastic cast. Isn't it more like a comedy or?
I forget. There is a plot synopsis out. I don't remember much. I don't remember what it's about though.
New Jordan Peele movie.
Oh yeah, nope. New Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Yeah, that is a great cast too. Really good cast. Also, I'd say one of my most anticipated. The Batman. I already mentioned that's definitely up there, but also I just saw the trailer for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is made by Daniels, who also made Swiss Army Man. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. What is this new one going to be about?
It's fascinating. I almost thought it was like MCU related at first because it's literally about this this Asian girl who like finds out she's like in a she has like access to like a multiverse.
Oh yeah.
It looks really crazy. Like obviously the visuals in Swiss Army Man were really creative and unique, and it looks like the same for this one too. They're really great. Daniel's are really great storytellers. I'm very interested to see what they come up with this time.
Yeah, this new Disappointment Boulevard. It's described as an intimate, decade-spanning portrait of one of the most successful entrepreneurs of all time. Stars Joaquin Phoenix, Nathan Lane, Parker Posey, interesting cast, Zoe Lister-Jones, Meryl Streep. Holy crap!
Yeah, that's a cast.
Be a 4-hour-long nightmare comedy,
which is interesting because this obviously everything Ari has made. This seems very different. This seems, just based on the plot alone, it sounds very different for him.
But when it says the most successful entrepreneurs of all time, it's gonna be an obvious thing, right? It's gonna be like a Walt Disney movie or whoever made the Shake Weight or something like.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Like it's gonna be somebody obvious, right? I don't think it's gonna be a made-up person. I don't know. That's just my idea. I think they're like keeping it under wraps because once the trailer comes out, it's gonna be like the McDonald's franchise or something.
That's a good point. I don't know who exactly it's going to be based off of, but no, just man, all those actors you just mentioned: Parker Posey, Joaquin Phoenix, Nathan Lane. Like, man, you don't see Nathan Lane in a lot anymore, so that's super. Especially to be working with Ari. Like I'm excited, very excited for that. I really like Midsommar a lot. I've liked all of his movies I've seen.
I need to give Midsommar another shot. I did not like it, but I just think I compared it too much to Hereditary, and I wanted to love it and read all the reviews about how disturbing it was, and I didn't find it that disturbing, and I wanted it to be disturbing. Like,
yeah, I mean, I found it was pretty disturbing. I mean, I found certain
Yeah.
scenes in particular to be very disturbing. Overall, it had a very unique tone to it. It was kind of goofy at times, and I almost felt intentionally. But yeah, I need to rewatch it too. I've only seen it once, but I liked it a lot. And I've only seen the director's cut because I remember I missed out on seeing it, and then like a couple months later they put out they did a theatrical run for the director's cut, so I was able to see that.
Oh, Midsummer.
Yeah, so like it was.
So
It
it's
was like
longer.
it was like an extra like 20 minutes or something. There was like, yeah, I don't know what
Wow.
exactly they added, obviously, but I really liked it. So yeah, but anything else, or should we dive right into
Yeah.
Don't Look Up? Which I gotta mention by the way, because I'm looking at the recording time. I feel like we always like so whatever we're talking about, we always wait like 50. It's like exactly 50 minutes, and then we talk about the main movie.
Is it 50 right now?
Yeah, it's like like just turned 50 minutes. Like it's always on the spot. Like
Yep, I was listening to our podcast in the car the other day, and I fast forwarded it, and in 50 minutes we had started talking, and I texted you a screenshot, and I said,
Yes.
"Hey, it only took us 50 minutes this time."
I know.
We need to start adding in trackers to our.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's just fun. It's fun talking about recent stuff, and But yeah, I agree. But yeah, just for now, if you just want to hear us talk about the main topic of the episode, just skip to 50 minutes, and that's probably a good like area where we start segueing.
That's the right way to put it. But no, we are here right now to talk about Adam McKay's 2021 Netflix movie. Had a limited theatrical release, but of course that wasn't really the point. Netflix movie Don't Look Up that slid in as one of my favorite movies of the last year and came out within a week of the end of the year. So it's Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, Meryl Streep, Cate Blanchett, Rob Morgan, Jonah Hill, Mark Rylance, Tyler Perry. I don't know how to pronounce his name. And
Timothy Chalamet.
Well, Timothée, right?
Timothée. It's just Timothy, right?
I don't think so. No.
Well, I mean, he has like the double E or whatever, but I think people just call him Timothy Chalamet, and
Timothée Chalamet, Ron Perlman, Scott Mescudi, aka Kid Cudi, and starring Ariana Grande.
Yes. Crazy cast.
When the plot first came out, I was very much like, okay, I know exactly what this is going to be about. It's going to be a parody of COVID and how COVID has been received, and that's exactly what it is. The original plot was two astronomers go on a world tour to tell people there's an asteroid coming to hit the Earth. And I was like, all right, Adam McKay's political. He does these black comedy political movies, and that's exactly what this movie's about. Leonardo DiCaprio teaches at a university that is not Ivy League, so they're very much discredited in this movie. Jennifer Lawrence is in a PhD program. She finds a asteroid is heading to Earth in about 6 months and is catastrophic and is going to destroy the world. And they try to tell the world about it. And just like with COVID, half the world does not believe in science. And I think that from what I've directly heard and from what I can assume, because I also felt it, I think the people who didn't like this movie didn't like it because it was too real and too soon. Like, we're still living in this era. We're still part of the Trump, and like, we're still in the Trump administration somehow. We're still in COVID. We're still in all of these things. And like, I guess in the movie, Jonah Hill calls his mom hot and says, like, if she weren't my mom, which was Trump and his daughter, and they wear red hats that say like "Don't Look Up," and it's just like, it was too it as brilliant as it was. It seemed like this movie wrote itself. Like, there wasn't much to writing the movie.
Well, that is some of the main criticisms I've heard, where it's like so much of the political satire is just so on the nose. Like, it's like, oh, look, they're just trying to paint Jonah Hill is like one of Trump's sons, or they're trying to make Meryl Streep like this Trump-like figure. They're trying to make the supporters like this. And I always say this too about this movie, where I'm like, yeah, there are times when it's kind of on the nose. It may be a little too like obvious, but is that not the point of the movie? Like, I don't think Adam McKay is going for subtlety. I don't think Adam McKay has ever gone for subtlety in any of his movies.
No.
And I think that's kind of what makes this movie stand out, because they're not focused on that. They're just trying to sell a message and sell this idea of like, well, really what I got out of it is it's not even so much about like the asteroid. It's about the response to it. So it's about the government response, it's about the scientific community's response, it's about the masses response and the media's response, and like how they're all different and how they all collide and how it creates these conflicts and divisions. And it's like it's messy, and it's cool because like really the first like, well, I guess most of the movie, really the first like 30-45 minutes are just Leonardo DiCaprio and what's her name? I'm already forgetting.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. Sorry, yeah, it's both of them just trying to convince the world that there's this catastrophic event coming in 6 months.
That's not the first 45 minutes of the movie. That's the whole movie. That's literally up until the very end of the movie when the world can see the asteroid approaching.
Yeah.
Up until that point. Yeah.
Well,
they're like, this is the asteroid we told you about.
I more or less mean like the first 45 minutes, it's like they are like failing 100, like there's like nobody that's listening. But like and then after a while, like some people start understanding that's why the president, played by Meryl Streep, has to make this anti asteroid campaign. But you're right, it's up until people can actually see it up in the air with their own eyes. And that's kind of where the title comes from, "Don't Look Up," because that's her slogan. Don't look up, just don't look at it. And I guess like you were saying, how there's a lot of metaphors for like the COVID, the COVID.
The COVID. What are you, 90?
90, yeah. The damn COVID. Get off my lawn, COVID. It's funny because I feel like, I don't know if Adam McKay said this directly, but there's been mention of like, oh, this is more of a metaphor for climate change and how we're responding to climate change. But I kind of see it, like you said, more as our response to COVID and the pandemic in general, if anything, because and I mean, I think this was actually written before COVID even happened. But
really,
yeah,
I figured it was a movie that was just so quick and like they're like, we need to get on this. Well, the interesting thing is it's written teleplay by Adam McKay, directed by Adam McKay. The story is co-written by David Sirota, who is an American journalist, wow, never had to say this word out loud before. That's a hard one. Columnist at The Guardian, editor for Jacobin. Anyway, he's a bunch of these things. But the cool thing about it is in March 2019, he began working as the senior advisor and speechwriter for the Bernie Sanders 2020 presidential campaign. So he was on the front line seeing all of this stuff happen with Trump. That's why I'm thinking I don't think this movie was written that long ago. I mean, that's probably why he was tapped into, being a part of this and he was on the front lines. I mean, that's why a movie like this, while as brilliant as it is, and I don't discredit an ounce of this movie, is it's just like, you write what you know. And that's not a bad thing. You write what you know. When I write movies, I write my best friends as characters because I know how they would react next. So it just writes itself. It unravels. It reveals itself. This movie was just like, how do we make Jonah Hill? Well, we make him a tool who's all over social media and wants to sleep with his mom. Oh, so Trump and his daughter? Yep.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say about it except for exactly that. And I mean, so much of it was so real too. Like she didn't want to tell the world that the world was going to end because like the primaries were coming up. And then once everybody started to believe it, she's like, now I want to tell people so they'll vote me again. And it was just like the timing and how like the White House schedules announcements, even though they're catastrophic worldly events. Like, yeah, that was very true, very real.
Yeah, that's the real part of it and the scary part of it. You're right, because so much of the release of this said information isn't based on the fact that, no, this is going to happen really soon and we have to act now. It's based on who's in power, who, like in this case, Madden president, like she's like, no, like we're only going to release it now because now it will help my campaign instead of hurting it, so that's the top reason, not because it will crash into the earth and cause mile-high tsunamis that will fan out over the globe. So yeah, and like I said, I feel like that's a big part of this movie. To me, that's like the whole point of this movie, where you have the White House responding in a really irrational and materialistic manner, and also the media. And what's interesting, I think it's called the. So you have Tyler Perry and Cate Blanchett, who play these media, talking heads on what's kind of like the Today Show in a sense, but I think it's called the Daily Rip, which I think is hilarious because it's like the Daily Rip, like R.I.P., like they're all dying.
Nice.
I picked up on that second time, but yeah, they're honestly my favorite part of the movie in a lot of ways, because like they're well, first off, Cate Blanchett and her fake teeth are funny, but like they're just like such like superficial, like everything's a joke, we're just gonna laugh at everything, and
we like to keep it light.
And like, hey Mr. Science Man, like welcome to the show, and like they're trying to talk about something so serious. And
I think what I liked about Cate Blanchett too is like she came from a ton of money, but she's like, I left it all behind and did everything on my own, which you hear about these people in real life and you're like, but you had a lot of help. Like,
Yeah.
you left your family money behind, but you also had a lot of connections. You had some money already. Like, I think I like that subtle part of her character was like, she tried to talk about how she was like self-made and all of that. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure you had a couple legs up here and there. I'm sure it wasn't that hard for you to do it. Like,
Right.
to do what you wanted to do. But
Absolutely.
her character, the two of them were great. I even loved them up to the last scene where they're at the bar. The world is about to end, and they're like, "You want to have sex?" And they're like, "Nah, I just kind of want to drink and talk shit about people." And it was just like they were just like best friends. They were mourning, and I think I like that because you watch a lot of morning talk shows, and you're like, these people don't actually get along. Like these people were just friends that like to get on the news and gab together.
Yeah, no, exactly, and they played that perfectly, and especially even Tyler Perry, who I always feel like is so strong as an actor under the right direction. Like he's so good in Gone Girl, and he's great in this too. Like he has that like that superficial nature where he's being, he has Dr. Randall, played by Leo. He has him and on the show, and still receiving all this information, he has to try to find a way to like to make it like funny, to make it lighthearted, because that's the whole point of the show. Like everything has to be lighthearted.
Is the meteor gonna destroy my my ex-wife's home? I mean, I paid for it anyway. And they're like, the meteor's gonna destroy the world. And he's like, does that include my ex-wife's house though? Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
The banter and the playing off of each other, and like what was so real about the movie and what I like about Adam McKay is like when they're talking about the space defense. And they're like, there's no way that's a real thing. And then it does a freeze frame. And it says this is a real thing. Like, he's always done that in his political movies. And, like, the scene where all of the tweets and all the things are going viral, like, that is so real. And you don't see that in movies. Like, when they go on the news and Jennifer Lawrence gets memed right away. And Leonardo Dicaprio is now sexy scientist guy. And, like, overnight, they're like, you know what? Jennifer Lawrence character, she has to get media training.
Oh, yeah,
she has to, like, it's like, we're not here for media training especially if the world's going to end. Like, I love that. I thought it was very realistic.
Well, that's another good aspect of it, too, where it's like, you think, like, all right, somebody's going on TV to say something important. Clearly, they should just be able to go on and say it. But no, like there's all these like facades, all these barriers in place. Where, like you said, I think twice in the movie, the idea of like media training was mentioned. Like, this guy needs some media training, and like again, it's hilarious considering the scope of what's going on and what what information they have to tell the world. But yeah, so I'd say like. Yeah, like so like I said, the first half to me felt very much like, all right, they're deliberately trying and failing. And then they kind of, not give up per se, but like the other half of the movie, it's like, all right, well, fuck everything, I guess, because no one's listening, no one's taking it seriously. Until at one point, Leo, is driving and he gets out of his car and, points up in the sky and it's like, there it is, there's the asteroid. And everyone starts looking at it. And then that's when, again, Madam President launches her campaign, and which again eventually turns into being pro, like asteroid, but only because we learn that it has trillions of dollars worth of material on it. Because we have I forget his name in it, but it's played by Mark Rylance. He plays this like Elon Musk. Yep. But he's like a combo. He's like a combo of like Elon Musk, like Steve Jobs, all these billionaires. He's like a combo of all of them. Super weird, creepy, and he's the one that and he stops the destruction of the asteroid. Like at like the hour mark, they're actually going to destroy it. It's actually we're going to save the world.
Perlman is doing the Independence Day where he's going to go up and shoot the asteroid.
Oh yeah, it's like we're going to take this thing out, and then Mark Rylance stops it because he has his technology. He's like, no, we can blow it up into smaller pieces that won't destroy the Earth, but then we'll just mine all of this for resources.
And there's like cities and countries out there that are willing to take asteroid damage just so they can like get some of the money for the the cell phone company. What is it? Blast, yeah. Which I gotta say, this one of the funniest parts for me. Our introduction to Mark Rylance's character, he's giving like a Steve Jobs type like presentation for his new edition of his phone. And he has just like really frail talking voice like this, and like he mentions how like he's like, oh, your phone can like basically it can as it's in your hand or in your pocket, it knows how you feel.
So he's like, oh, I'm feeling sad right now, and then like it brings up like a video of like a dog like like riding a chicken, and he's like, oh, I'm happy now, and like I love that. I love that scene so
What
much.
was the girl gonna say in that scene?
I don't know. Yeah, because it's like a little. They have like the kids like holding the phone. And she's like, I have something to say, and then they're like, no, shut up, like not right now.
I'm gonna Google that because I wonder if that was
Yeah.
something important.
She was supposed to say something. I don't know what though. But yeah, his character is great. He plays this superficial, creepy billionaire, inventor type, who definitely plays a bigger role, especially after the halfway point in the movie. And there's also a great scene I like between him and Leo. They're like at a hangar, like they're preparing all the drones to go out and mine the asteroid, and he Leo brings up a great point. He's like, why are we, we're not looking at peer reviewed, information. We're just going off of this because you're a businessman. And the second he calls or even slightly refers to Mark Round's character as a businessman, he gets incredibly offended. And he goes, you think I'm a businessman? And he's like, I'm this, I'm that, I'm an inventor, I'm more than that. And I love that because I feel like, again, I feel like copied from that of real life, where you have all these people, these billionaires that are trying to be more. They don't want to just be viewed as, it's not enough that they have enough money for like an infinite amount of lifetimes, but they have to like be viewed as a philanthropist, and they have to be viewed as inventors and creators. The self-image seems to matter just as much as the amount of money they make. So yeah, such a great character.
I will say that another thing that I found very difficult with the movie is, so one of my favorite movies, and I guess I'm now envious of you for two reasons. Ready Player One is one of my favorite movies. Just an IMAX 3D adventure of a movie. It's basically about, in the future, the whole world relies on VR because the whole world's just kind of turned to shit. And there's a competition, and Mark Rylance plays like the inventor of the VR thing with Simon Pegg. He winds up dying, and he says, I'm turning over the keys to my VR world to whoever can find the 3 Easter eggs inside of my VR world. His character in Ready Player One is almost identical to his character in Don't Look Up. Talks the exact same way, plays like the tech billionaire, the inventor who's soft-spoken, and he almost plays like a Garth from Wayne's World in it. He reminds me a lot of Garth. But anyway, they were extremely, extremely similar characters. So that was the only thing I found hard, is when I watched Don't Look Up, it was just the exact same character. And I was
yeah, I forgot he's even in that movie, but it makes sense because he worked with Spielberg on Bridge of Spies, I think. That was
is that what won him the Oscar? Because he doesn't have like a crazy IMDb page, but he's like an Oscar-winning actor, and like
he's like what's his name? He's like Christoph Waltz, where like he acted in like his home country for like his whole life, but then he came to America and just like became a huge hit. He won an Oscar, worked with like, all these directors, but okay, interesting. I mean, again, I still gotta watch that movie. I've been saying that for like years now, but no, it's interesting. And then it's funny because then there's a certain point in this movie where it's like, that all right, everyone's gonna die. Like the asteroid's like undoubtedly gonna crash into Earth and kill everybody. And I love the ending too, because like Jennifer Lawrence's character kind of just gives up a little bit. She's like, all right, she's like, well, fuck it, like why do anything? She quits her job working at a liquor store after the FBI like almost sues her or puts her in jail for like knowing or releasing certain information.
I love that point. They're like, they put a bag over her head again, and she thinks she's gonna be like taken away forever, and they're like, do you promise to never say anything again? She goes, yeah, fuck it. And then I also think I think I texted maybe you during it, like, or my friend Dan, I texted him. I love when like people say like, we are a green and blue planet where monkeys turned into humans, and we could have just spent all of our lives traveling and swimming and enjoying the world, but instead we all work in offices and pay taxes. I love that, and I also love when people are like, it will be the end of the world and we'll still be going to work every single day. I saw one thing that said, like, so you're gonna show up to work and be like, sorry boss, I had to drive around a lake of fire where one of the horsemen of the apocalypse was, and the boss is gonna respond with how do you think that's gonna make your team see you as like as a respectful partner? That's what I liked about this, is like she knew the world was gonna end but still got a job. She
Yeah.
was still working at a, like, I think that was kind of a subtle, like, hey, when the world is ending, we will still be going to work every day. We will still have people switching jobs and interviewing, and just you'll just carry on, even
Well,
though you know the
I almost feel like that's like the feel right now. Even like we
yeah
have so many
yeah
problems going on, and it like nothing seems right
yep
now, like in society. And again, like obviously there's other people making more noise about what's going on, but like this is that almost seems reflective of right now, where there's so many issues going on, and you have the Great Resignation, where people are quitting and then just like, no, like I'm not, I only have one life, and I'm gonna make the most of it, especially with all this craziness going on. But yeah, that is a funny thing where it's like that's almost like hardwired into us now, where it's like, yeah, even if we know the world's gonna end in 4 months, there'll still be someone working at KFC, there'll still be someone in an office, like probably until it like reaches our face, we're probably still gonna be trying to just pretend that
yep.
everything is okay, everything is good.
Government will still be asking for tax money and all of that.
Oh
So
yeah,
I take notes when I watch the movie so I can talk about things. Can I try something with you right now?
sure.
I always try to keep up with like the Wikipedia, the IMDb, us talking about the movie in my notes. Can I run through all of my notes?
Yes, please do.
And we can talk about it like in order, and so let me see. The general charging them for snacks.
Oh yeah, this one
That
it's
was
so good.
subtle and repetitive, and was in all three acts of the movie. When they get locked in the room and find out that they're going to be mining the asteroid, and Jennifer Lawrence is like still questioning why that's going to happen, and then the other guy brings up meeting Sting, and Sting farted in front of him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, just so random. I love that. Jonah Hill coming out and saying, "Hey peeps, tonight's not going to work." At,
Oh
like,
yeah.
at, like the way he talks and addresses people. I hate clickbait articles. There was an article that was like, Jennifer Lawrence couldn't work with Jonah Hill, and you find out it was just because she like found it hard to keep a straight face. They did a whole 8-hour shoot of him improvising insults at Jennifer Lawrence. I mean, like the whole boy with the dragon tattoo. Like,
Oh yeah.
that was great. Let me see. Oh yeah, the everybody in the movie talks about how Leonardo DiCaprio's kids were so normal. Like they weren't famous actors, they were just kind of boring. They were just who they were. And I love the scene where Leo is talking to his wife, Melanie Linsky, and he says, "Hey, how the kids doing?" He goes, and she says, "Oh, blah 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 is on new medication." And he goes, "Oh, how are the meds working?" And he goes, I'm a solid 4."
Yeah.
Like that line I loved because I thought it was so fucking relatable. You're breathing weird, it's making me uncomfortable.
Yep.
I mostly just wrote all of Jonah Hill parts where they talk about how the asteroid has like a 99% chance of crashing, and Meryl Streep goes, "Let's just call it 70%, move on."
Yeah, it's called 70.
um
That killed me.
when he says they love watching a smoke show smoke, talking about his mom and how her smoking cigarettes got them more points.
I gotta mention too, that part's great because so the whole scene when they first are in the Oval Office talking to the president and Jonah Hill, and that scene's so funny and so well edited too, because there are these like really quick cuts to like close-ups of like just like Leo's eyes or Jennifer Lawrence's eyes as they respond to what they're saying. So the scene when he's like he's like, my mom, after she mentions, smoking, that made me look more real. So my numbers went up in the polls. Jonah Hill mentions that and he goes, yeah, he's like, my mom, she could be in Playboy. And then it cuts to Leo's eyes and he's just like, what the hell did you just say? Like, and that's like, it's so good. I love all those like quick, because again, it increases the anxiety of the scene too. Cause like,
yes,
the shots are so close in and they're just trying to get this information out, but they're just not receiving it like correctly. They're just making kind of a joke of the whole thing. But I love all that.
I normally have a problem in movies. Like, I know it's show, don't tell. I normally have a problem in a movie where, like, if you were a former smoker and you were in a movie, they might show you, like, holding a pencil, like a cigarette, or tapping your fingers. Like, I normally hate that in movies because it's just, like, it's kind of, like, too obvious and too, like, direct.
Yeah.
But this movie, I think you make a great point. This movie just really showed the two of their anxieties so well. Whether it was Jennifer Lawrence, like, I need to go smoke weed, or just her tapping her fingers.
Or like how she steals a little bit of Leo's Xanax,
Yes,
yes,
yeah.
and he's just like, oh, he's like, that's a lot, like
she does it in the White House, because even at that point, she's like, fuck it. Like, what do I care about this?
Yeah.
I love that. I love the line where they're talking about this telescopes, and I think Jonah Hill goes, I didn't know Subaru made telescopes. Like, that line I love, because Yamaha is such a famous guitar and piano brand, and they also make motorcycles, and that's always been something that, like, musicians joke about, that, like, it's the same company. How did you get into that diverse portfolio?
Well, there's that aspect to it, but there's also, again, knowing this information, and that's the question he asks, like, oh, there's this huge asteroid coming, but Subaru makes telescopes too. Oh, no shit.
Yep. Just
like,
subtle. Yeah, I'm learning something.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence putting the date of the impact on a diet app. I thought that was brilliant.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
Very smart.
And you
you
see the phone at the end floating in space.
Yep. Oh, that end, watching it the second time around, whichever actor it shows one thing that represented them in the movie. So I really like that at the end.
Oh, true. Yeah.
I love Meryl Streep. May God bless every one of you, especially the members of my party. Like, I loved her because, like, I don't know. I don't understand how religion works and all of that, of course, but, like, you watch people like Trump up there talking about God bless America and being Catholic and all of this, and you're just like, that's not a religious man. Like,
no.
The things you do are not very religious. And same with Meryl Streep. Like, she's up there with Ron Perlman, and they're like, God bless us, God's watching us, and it's like, I don't think she goes to confession in church every Sunday. Like, I don't. Yeah, but every president has always had a dog until Trump, and always been religious. And it's like, how many of them were actually religious until they became president? That's
true.
What I wonder.
Yeah,
that's what I really wonder.
How often are you reading the Bible? And yeah, exactly, going to church every Sunday. And that's a good point.
I love the line where they say to Jennifer Lawrence on one of the talk shows she has on, they go, "How are we supposed to trust you? You have the same name as the comet."
Yeah.
That was very funny. Let me see. Buck 40 trillion. That's what Jonah Hill refers to the $140 trillion mining. Buck 40 trillion. When he does the Molly, when Ron Perlman's taking off to space, he's like, I just took some Molly. It's going to kick in at just the right time. Oh yeah, he's a 3-star general who works the Pentagon, but he charges for snacks.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts. Also, I gotta mention, I don't know if you wrote it down, but I think it's right after I think it's right after or supposed, like, when they were supposed to blow up the asteroid. So I don't know if it was before or after, but essentially, yeah, Leo's character hooks up with Cate Blanchett's. She's from the talk show, and there's a scene when they're having sex, or they're about to go into the room, they're kissing, and she's like, tell me we're all gonna die, and he's like, what? Tell me we're all gonna die. He's like, we're all gonna die, and she's she's just getting off on that, and like, oh my god,
she's crazy.
I almost cried. That was an incredibly funny moment, and but yeah, also, like we already talked about, but the general charging this for the snacks, and because after that, when they're waiting all those hours, Jennifer Lawrence goes into the break room or whatever, and she's like, how much are the snacks? And the girl's like, it's free, it's the White House. And she's like, why would this 3-star general charge us?
The White House would monetize that. That is something that you wouldn't be surprised by. Like, their vending machine probably has actual money.
Oh yeah,
you need to pay. I really liked the whole the Bubba Gump shrimp part of the movie. Even that's in space at the end.
I forget what they call it. It's like Mojo Bombo or something like that. Yeah. But I remember this. I didn't even notice it the first time. The second time, I'm like, that's Gumbo shrimp or whatever. That's
very random. I don't know if they meant to go for Bubba Gump and couldn't get the rights, or they just did it as a joke. But I love that. I love when like, a big part of the movie that I love too is like how it's a typical movie where the friends go a separate way. Him and the black guy, Jennifer Lawrence, they all go a separate way and kind of disband and then come back together at the end. I love the scene in the bar, the bubblegum shrimp, where they all decide they're just going to tell people what's going on. Like, I love that. Timothée Chalamet actually predicted the ship. when he's first there with Jennifer Lawrence and his two friends, he's like, yeah, they've probably built some ship already for all the people to escape Earth on. He says that, which I noticed the second time around. Like, that was foreshadowing.
Yeah. Yep.
And that callback at the end when Kate Blanchett calls Leo and he goes, or Meryl Streep calls Leo and goes, "We have a ship," and he goes, "Of course you have a ship."
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that line, and then when he's like, "Hey, tell your son I say hi," and she goes, "My son," and she forgets him, and he's just sitting there going, "She's coming back. She's definitely
Which is
coming back."
hilarious because, that scene when they're like, all right, it's like inevitable, like an hour from the comet's gonna hit. Mark Rylance, he's like, "Oh, I'll be right back. Gonna use the bathroom." Like nature calls, and then Meryl Streep joins him, knowing that she's gonna go on the ship with him, and her son's right there, and she's like, "No, I'll be
Yep.
right back." Because she like even forgets in that very moment. It's
Yep.
just hilarious. Like,
Very realistic. Very realistic.
oh yeah.
I sent you a picture too of it. I noticed it the second time around when they're, I think, looking at the spaceship the first time. Meryl Streep is smoking a cigarette in front of a flammable sign.
Oh yeah.
The Chris Evans part, the movie poster, which is very clearly Waterworld, is him.
Yeah, which I didn't know until you pointed that out to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Talking about a $300 million movie they just made called like Total Disaster. When he tells Kate Blanchett that he really loved her, and she goes, "Wow, that's wild." Like, he never meant anything to her. Like, that was probably the second woman he's ever slept with in his life. Like, Leo's this guy from a small town, probably married his high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
And to him, that was like the love of his life. I love the last concert on Earth, where Ariana Grande is singing about like, stop paying attention to the manatees and look up for the first time.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill catering to the working class. That also was like what every president has always done. Every president always has to address, like, this is for the factory workers. This is for the men and women who work with their hands. This is for the plumbers and the mechanics. Like, that is such a presidential thing. Like, you always have to talk about the working class, and then he calls them fucking rednecks when they start throwing stuff at him.
Oh yeah. Oh, that part was great too.
Oh yeah, I want to give a prayer for dope stuff. Jonah Hill's line. I just wrote all of his lines. And when Meryl Streep and Mark Rylance's character leave, I love that's when everybody says, "I'm doing an 8-ball. I'm going home to see my daughter." And like that, I think we've kind of seen that in COVID a little bit. News reporters and other people just kind of like, fuck this. Like, I'm gonna go be with my family. Like, I'm gonna stay safe. I'm gonna go.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
My grandmother's dying of COVID. I'm not gonna go to work today. Like, I like that scene where everybody just kind of like abandons it.
Yeah, that part's great because I think someone's like, "I'm gonna go see my husband," and he goes, Mark Ronson's like, "It's okay, everybody. Everything's okay.
We still have a few more ships."
Yeah.
I think what was his name? Rob Morgan. That's his name, right?
Yeah, he's like the planetary. He's like the head of like the planetary alliance, whatever it is.
I think one of my favorite lines of the whole entire movie, and it makes me emotional for a million reasons, is when they're all sitting around the table at the end, and he just says, "I'm grateful we tried. Man, oh man, did we try." Like, that line is just like.
Oh yeah, you can feel the pain in his voice. Like, yeah, we did everything we could.
They did. Yeah, there were no regrets. There were no regrets at the end of it.
Also, shout out to him because like I really feel like Rob, Leo, and like those two specifically, and Jennifer Lawrence too. Like that trio was like the voice of reason. They were like the voice of reason this entire movie. Especially, and even Rob Morgan had a lot more power than them technically, but even he couldn't like push through getting anything done. So like that's what also is kind of scary. It's like it almost makes me think in real life we have all these people with immense power, and even they can't really make that much systemic change. And it's like
Dr. Fauci has doctor in his name, and still nobody listens to him.
Yeah, now we're at the point where mad people just don't like him. Like, are like, screw him. Like, what does he know? Like. What does a doctor know? Like, I don't know. Like, it's hilarious as it is scary, but but yeah, like that's that ending scene I liked a lot too because like they know it, they all know what's gonna happen, but they're like, no, we're gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to my wife, see if she'll bring us back in. We're gonna cook a nice meal. We're gonna sit around the table, talk.
Jennifer Lawrence gets engaged.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio, like they see the meteor coming. They know that we've just disbanded with our allies for the mining and all of that. They know the world's officially going to end. And Leonardo DiCaprio is in the store showing them the difference in colors between farmed salmon and fresh caught salmon. Like that.
Oh yeah.
That scene is just so subtle,
But
and he's just like, even he no longer is,
yeah, they don't care. Like
Yep.
they accept their fate, and I love that scene too because as they're in the store, like, this set looks pretty good. You can see people only like hoarding, like looting in the background,
Yep.
and then and they're like, oh, we also need to get fingerling potatoes, and Timothy Chalamet is like, I fucking love fingerling potatoes. Like,
I love that
it's good.
scene and everything. I mean, The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead have a lot of even Mike O'Brien's movie The Domestics, that has a couple scenes with supermarkets and post-apocalyptic survivors kind of ransacking supermarkets. But I do like when they make more light of that in apocalyptic things, like in Zombieland. They do the big shop in Zombieland, and then they leave their credit card on the cashier counter.
Oh yeah,
Like I love that in a movie.
I do too. That's almost like cathartic because I feel like I feel like the movie that really started that was the original Dawn of the Dead, because you have all these characters in a mall and they're like, hey, we're around all this stuff, let's have fun, let's put on, try out this clothing, try all this food, do all this stuff. And it's like, it's almost like a fantasy, like, oh man, like if I was ever in this scenario I would just go crazy. And like, you're right, same with that, you're like, oh, if I could just take anything I want from a fucking supermarket, like that'd just be fun, even though it's scary in a really horrible situation, but you'd still be like, oh, that'd be like the one little silver lining, I guess, like, in a sense.
I just came up with another spec script scene for Zombieland 3. They go on supermarket sweep, and the host of the show, who's now Leslie Jones, is a zombie, and they're running around the different aisles going shopping. I think that'd be funny.
That totally seems like something they would put in the Zombieland movie.
Yeah, I want that as a spec script. I also had the idea for I wrote in my head a spec script. Well, it was originally a short, and then I wrote, wait, this is Zombieland 3. It was like probably Woody Harrelson's character inventing a new thing to kill zombies, like a chainsaw baseball bat, and then he goes on Shark Tank to pitch the idea, and all of the sharks are all zombies now.
Oh,
I thought that would be such a cool scene in Zombieland 3. The Alex Jones character, I really like that. There you see that. You see all the tweets that people are posting, like hashtag.
like Michael Chiklis, right? He's kind of like the Alex Jones.
Yeah. Yep, I forgot about that. Yeah, because I know he was in the credits, but I never remember exactly who he was.
Yeah, I almost wanted more of him because they don't. He only has like maybe a scene or two. They're really short. But I'm like, if you're gonna have him, be this Alex Jones type. I almost wish they had him more integral to the plot, but
like they went on his show or something.
Which honestly would have made more sense, because like he probably would have been like, oh yeah, get them on, like they're crazy, like they're talking about all this stuff, like but yeah, I know maybe there's some outtakes or something, or deleted scenes with that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I would like to buy this movie too. I like at the end when they're sitting at the table, the movie actually skips. Did you pick up on that? When they're sitting at the table and the world starts to shake a little bit, the movie skips and kind of delays and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So I thought that was like really, really cool. I like, one of my favorite things about the movie Arrival. Is that also by the guy who did Ex Machina?
No, that's Denis Villeneuve, who did Dune and Prisoners.
Yeah, so that movie I love because, unfortunately, in this movie, we only are allies with other parts of the world for so long. And that's what I loved about Arrival, is every single country gets together to work together to destroy the aliens or learn about the aliens. Yes. That's what I loved that part of this movie. And I also loved at the end where you get to see how how every territory across the globe would celebrate or mourn the end of the world. You see the man dressed with the paints and all of that, and he's dancing in front of the meeting.
I love that. That's a beautiful shot.
That shot is unreal. It reminded me a lot of the end of Us, Jordan Peele's Us, where they're all gathered around, there's fire, and I thought that shot, exactly, that shot was unreal. Ron Perlman with the gun. So this movie, my friend my friend worked on this movie for a few days. It was filmed right by where I live, just outside of Boston here. And a couple people in town actually posted Ron Perlman with the gun. Like, that was filmed like a couple blocks over.
That's cool.
Like in the same town I'm in. And I love that scene. Like the whole getting him to destroy there's a new movie coming out called Moon something.
Oh,
where it's
Moonfall. I think Roland Emmerich. Yeah.
it looks terrible,
Oh,
and
it
there's
does.
like I think there's a scene in that, or there's another movie out where somebody gets in a plane and goes up to take down a meteor, and like I just like that's what this movie parodied with Ron Perlman, is like the Randy Quaid Independence Day character who's like, I'm gonna go torpedo the meteor, and like he's, oh my god,
The moon's falling, but we have to stop it. Yeah, like
yeah, I'm gonna punch the moon.
yeah.
This scene where he is in the spaceship and he's like, this one's for all of my Indian brothers and sisters out there. This one's for all the gays, and he's taking out the ship, and they try to.
He's from a different time. Yeah.
Yeah, that line. Oh my god, it was like he's like, hey, do you guys mind taking a couple DUIs off of my record if I do this? And then, I mean, of course, we could talk more, but Bon Iver is like my favorite musician. He was my therapist before I did therapy. The second time around, I listened to his song because, he did an original song he did Heavenly Father, an original song for Zach Braff's Wish I Was Here. He did the original song for this movie, and then it splices the post-credits in with his song. But his song, every lyric is relative to the movie.
Yes.
It's just completely just him retelling the whole entire movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really appreciated that. And
That's
he
funny,
does not, Bon Iver does not do a lot like that. I mean, he's from Wisconsin. He did an ad for a Wisconsin beer like 10 years ago. And he said, I basically did it because it will pay off my future kids' college tuition. And he always regretted doing it because like, he's not a sellout kind of person.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so this was really good, and I was telling Tom right before this, I didn't know that there were 2 post-credit scenes.
Yeah,
I only knew there was 1. So let's talk about the post-credit scenes.
Yes, let's. Well, the first one's funny as hell because that one's actually like a mid-credit scene, and we learned that I don't know how many people, maybe like a couple hundred, got on that ship that Mark Rylance had, and they were able to actually escape Earth as it was being destroyed.
I think it was about 2,000 people, right?
Yeah, and then we learned in the mid-credit scene, it's 22,000 or so years later. So 22,000 years passes. They're cryogenically frozen, and they've obviously the ship finds the closest inhabitable planet, which it took them that long to find, obviously. And I love it because they get on there, and then it's just like they meet their demise so fast. And it's funny because this is something I forgot about too, where Mark Rylance, he uses all his technology, and he's like, when he's talking to Leo, he's like, I know how you're going to die. He's like, our computers have figured it out. And he does the same for Meryl Streep. And she goes, no, I don't want to know. No, okay, tell me, how am I going to die? And he's like, you're going to be eaten by whatever. I forget. I have to look it up almost.
Bronteroc.
He's like, you're going to be eaten by a Bronteroc. We don't really know what that means yet. And then the Bronterocs are the species of like these dinosaur-looking like animals, like raptor-looking animals that live on this planet. And she goes up and it's so cute, and then it just eats her face, and she dies. And then, of course, Mark Rylance is like, it's okay, everybody, calm down, we're gonna be okay. As they're being surrounded by all of them, and
somebody goes, what is that? And he goes, I think they call that a Bronteroc. And you're like,
yeah.
The full circle of that. And also when the ship lands, they go, the cryo chambers were 58% successful, so that's pretty good.
Oh yeah,
like half of the people died and never woke up again.
Yeah. Yep.
Some of the very subtle, amazing parts. Meryl Streep has a tramp stamp because they're all naked on the planet. Meryl Streep has a tramp stamp, and Kid Rock is definitely on there.
Kid Rock.
There's a guy who gets off of the ship onto the planet, and he has long hair and a beard, and you look at him and you go, all right, this ship held 2,000 people, and that guy got on it, and I think it was very clearly like a Kid Rock kind of like joke put in there.
I didn't even pick up on that. That would make sense, though.
It's very funny because I was just looking at upcoming concerts. Guess who Kid Rock is touring with?
I don't know.
Foreigner.
Really?
It's that funny.
Interesting.
I found that, like, I imagine a lot of people would be like, I'm not going to go see Kid Rock play with a bunch of foreigners.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. That's good.
I want to see if anybody else picked up. All right. Kid Rock, Don't Look Up. Matthew Perry's cut cameo. In a quick shot of the scene, the Kid Rock impersonator can actually be seen towards the left of the stage cheering Don't Look Up. So Matthew Perry's in the movie. He didn't make it, but a guy named, Ralph M. Studley plays Kid Rock body double in Don't Look Up. So I think that's the same guy who gets off of the ship at the end as well.
But yeah, I remember. So in that scene too, they show the cryogen chambers, or whatever, and it has all the names on it. So you see like ExxonMobil, like CEO, or whatever. You see like it says exactly like lobbyist for like this company. It's funny how it not even doesn't say their name. It says who they were before, which I think is a little funny note, because it's like that's again the superficiality of it, like their jobs being like their whole identity. So that made the credit scene was funny as hell, and again I love it too because they even fuck up this, like literally like they survived 22,000 years later. They're on this new planet it looks even better than Earth. The air quality is even better. Like the oxygen is like at a higher percentage, but they just all get out of the ship naked, and like they don't even prepare correctly, and like it ends with the prospect that they're all going to be eaten by these dinosaur looking things. But that's a really funny mid-credit scene. And then the actual end credit scene is, I mentioned it before we started the podcast, but it's almost this like Twilight Zone setup where Jonah Hill kind of like crawls out of the rubble from where he was, and he, as far as we know, is the last living person on Earth, and he's just like looking around like, Mom, like where you at? And like everything is just rubble, destroyed, and I say it's Twilight Zone-esque because this reminded me of the one with Burgess Meredith where he's an avid bookworm, and then at the end the Earth is destroyed, he survives the nuclear holocaust, and he is able to read all these books, but his glasses break, which is the ultimate irony. He can't read anything, even though he has all the time and resources. And in this movie, Jonah Hill, obviously he sides with Mark Rylance. He wants to be even more rich, but he survives, but now there's no resources, nothing. He's just left on this horrible Earth with nothing, no resources, no people, no nothing.
One, that is one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes by far.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best for sure.
And two, on top of that, the movie felt very Idiocracy reminiscent. Welcome to Costco, I love you. But it felt very Idiocracy in many ways. And the very end of Idiocracy, the whole movie is Luke Wilson, Maya Rudolph are part of a 1-year Army cryogenic experiment. It gets buried literally, and they wake up 500 years in the future. Maya Rudolph is a prostitute in the past, and the whole movie she's saying that her pimp Upgrade is going to come for her to get his money, and they're all like, we're 500 years in the future, Upgrade's very dead. And at the very end of the movie, post credits, gotta love Mike Judd, Upgrade's ship opens up in the 500 years in the future, and he gets out and he's like, I gotta go get me my money, and that's how it ends. That was very reminiscent with the Jonah Hill ending. I thought that was very...
Yeah, it's a good connection. I like that.
Yeah.
But it's fitting, very fitting for his character.
I think that I just found the guy who plays the Kid Rock character in the movie.
Oh, yeah?
I'm researching him right now, and I'm trying to... Because I am trying to learn more about that and who exactly that was. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I guess I didn't even pick up on that the 2 times I watched it, that he was like a Kid Rock like look-alike, or supposed to be like a stand-in for him almost. That's funny.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm doing my study on it. But the movie is just, it's so unlike anything. It's so original, it's so creative. It's very hard to watch. There's no denying that. It's a very hard to watch movie. It's very real. It's very true. I guess I'm trying to juxtapose it somehow here, is that it's very like, nobody wants to watch a World War II movie during World War II. And I guess that's kind of reminiscent to like this, is nobody wants to watch a COVID movie during the middle of COVID. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. I think that's why a lot of people had a hard time with it. But you were saying what? You were saying that people had a harder time with it because they just didn't like the politics of it? Was it just Republicans who didn't like it, or what? No,
I mean, I know people that are more on the left that really hated this movie, mainly because 2 things. One, because of the simplification of the politics, but also I've just heard main criticism I've heard is that the satire is just really easy, and it's really like in your face. But and again, I can definitely see where some of the criticisms are coming from, as far as like the satire being very in your face and on the nose. But again, I kind of expected that, being Adam McKay, and again, they they're not trying. This isn't supposed to be a subtle movie by any means. You know, like I feel like that's kind of the point. It's supposed to be in your face. It's supposed to be kind of grabbing you by the collar and being like, look what's going on. Look at like what you're affected. Look at like how your elected officials are acting. Look at how the populace is acting. Like this is probably how they would even respond to it in the first place. And I mean, it's hard for me to like how do you not like this? It's you have an amazing cast. Everyone delivers. Again, it could have been maybe trimmed up a little bit. There could have been it could have maybe been a little shorter. Maybe some of the satire could have been worked on a little bit more, but ultimately I'm a pretty big fan of it. I think it delivers. I think it like you said, it's as funny as it is kind of haunting and you know, like catastrophic, but no, it works for me. It really works. And you know, like I said, I love the ending. I really do love how, again, you know, all the, you know, Leo and Lawrence and Rob Morgan, how they just say, fuck it, we're just gonna go have a final dinner. And to me, yeah, I'd rather that than be cryogenically frozen and only have a 58% chance of surviving, you know, if I had to choose.
I spent a lot of the movie, I guess you'd rather die with your loved ones than up on a spaceship.
Yeah, die with your loved ones, have a final meal, you know, of fingerling potatoes. Hell yeah.
And they're all talking about, like, I love how out of all the characters, Timothée Chalamet's character is the religious one who leads the whole...
Yeah, I love that too.
I really like that part a lot.
And then also another great quote, I might be butchering this, but after he says his prayer, Rob Morgan says, he goes, man, he's like, you got some church game or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I have that written down. He says, it's one of my last things. He says,
I love that.
I'm gonna find it. Let me see. Church. Yeah, wow, you have some church game. Yep. Yeah. I thought, I mean, the whole dinner scene at the end was so beautiful, and his wife takes him back and everything, and I just thought it was very, very good. Yeah. I could watch this movie 1,000 more times. I thought it was and it's something that we can show our kids and future generations, you know, when they're like, no way, people did not believe in COVID. We can be like, well,
yeah,
here you go.
I'm ultimately an optimist. But yeah, I really hope that that's the reality where we can say, oh yeah, like this is how our old system used to work. And, you know, people, you know, politicians prioritize their career over the lives of people, you know, but that's a thing of the past. That's not a thing anymore. I hope we can say that.
I hope so. Yeah. It was a good movie, and I definitely can't wait to see what Adam McKay does next, because I'm not a political person, like, by any means. I'll say that much. I mean, I'm just not political, but I loved The Big Short.
The Big Short's still my favorite of his. I love it.
Oh yeah, it was great. I loved Vice. I thought Vice was really, really good.
Vice was pretty good. That one to me is definitely more of like on the nose satire that I feel like is at times a little distracting and not as good, but still pretty good. And obviously, Christian Bale is so good in that movie.
Well, there's no hyperbole to that movie, right? It's pretty accurate. Isn't that pretty much as equivalent to Spencer as Spencer? I haven't seen Spencer, so that's a question for you.
No, different. I will say this because, like, again, Vice does the whole like freeze frame. Oh, like we're being meta. We're gonna mention something outside of the movie or whatever. I mean, some of it works. One of the scenes I love in Vice is I want to say it's right before George W. Bush asks him if he wants to be his vice president. And like you think they start playing the credits, and you think it's like, all right, and Dick Cheney lives happily ever after, and then it's like, oh wait, no, he still has to be vice president and destabilize Middle Eastern countries. Like all right, we still gotta get to that. That part was funny, but like there's some satire in it that I felt was just like, all right, like I get it, like haha, very funny. But no, like overall, yeah, I'm very excited to see what Adam McKay does, because clearly he produces Succession too, right? So like, you know, he clearly is a political person. He very much likes talking about and writing about these kind of things, and I'm excited. I mean, he's definitely one of the funnier and more unique directors we have working today.
So I will say,
love Anchorman, love those movies too.
I will say this: he has disbanded officially with Will Ferrell, and what did they make? Gary Sanchez Productions, I think.
Yeah, that was their production company.
So they did Succession together. So I imagine one of them will still do Succession, but they have officially disbanded together. So
which sucks, which is sad.
I know,
because like to me, like they're probably like in our lifetime one of the greatest like comedy like creative duos as far as like director and actor, like because Anchor, I mean really like all the movies they made, Talladega Nights, Anchorman 1 and 2, the other guys, I think are fantastic. Like
Adam McKay's cameo in The Other Guys, he plays Dirty Mike.
Oh yeah,
Dirty Mike and the boys.
Oh my God.
Like yeah,
I forgot about that.
Oh my God, the desk pop scene in The Other Guy is just and Rob Riggle, Damon Wayans Jr.,
Yeah.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton and Dwayne Johnson and Samuel Jackson. That scene when they jump off the roof and you hear what's that song that's playing? There goes my hero.
Yeah. They die in the opening scene.
Yeah. It's like a slow-mo. That shot is so funny. I was literally crying when I first saw that. But yeah, it's a little sad, but again, still very excited to see what he does in the future.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of like when a band breaks up, you're like, all right, well now I have 5 different side projects I can listen to, so it might expand things.
Yeah, and obviously something really good could come from it, and obviously Will Ferrell's still doing just fine. He's still working on a lot of good stuff. So.
Oh yeah. Well, let me ask you this. I don't think we've ever done this before on our episodes, but what made you choose this background from Don't Look Up?
I would say just because, well, for one, it's the scene when they're in the supermarket gathering the stuff, all the supplies to make that final dinner. And it's like right before Timothy says, yeah, I fucking love fingerling potatoes. So like, I just love that scene. And again, to me, this shot even encapsulates kind of the idea of the movie where it's like, they're all so smart. Like they're all trying to figure this out. But then they're just like, we'll let nature take its course. What more can we do when nobody else wants to take it seriously? So yeah, that's kind of why I picked that screenshot for my background. But same with you. I was going to say at one point, it almost looked like you were in the hangar with those two. Just chilling, waiting to go meet the president. Yeah.
I guess this is a bad episode for me to ask to explain our backgrounds.
Oh yeah, actually, I don't know why.
One, because the movie's so new that it's hard to find good quality images of the movie. I couldn't find anything good of the Bronterock. That was a little bit harder to find.
Oh,
I couldn't find a lot of good things about the snacks, about the snack scene. But then I found this image and I think really liked it because one, I knew I'd fit into it pretty well. Like it's, I always feel like the images I choose, I'm like right in front of it. But no, I like this because this scene was like, I think one of them mentioned it was like their first time on a plane or something like that. But I like this scene because it was when everything finally was real to them. Like they knew that it was real when they discovered it, but once they were on this plane and like, they were trying to get comfortable taking a nap, and there was even a scene where they were napping on each other, and I thought that was like a really nice, subtle thing that kind of showed their relationship. I thought that was really cool. They kind of like showed their friendship, and like I like how they never had a love interest with each other. Like I like how that was never part of it.
Yeah, true.
But I like that because they're on the plane and they get off and they're immediately bustled into everything. I thought that was really cool, and that they're the only people on the plane, like this giant, massive hangar, and they're the only people on it.
All the fuel that's being burned just to for 2 people to travel. And also, it's great the lead up to that scene. So it's like, all right, we're going to meet the president. Cool. They're so new to all this, and they right before they get on the plane, there's like a general. And he's like, oh, hi, I'm Doctor. And he's like, go, get on the plane. Like, he, like, tries introducing himself to the guy that's just trying to, like, get them on the plane. Which I love, because that's a great character moment. Like, it's a great character moment.
A lot of good show don't tells. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence, tapping the fingers, rapping, smoking, all of that was very good.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the first movie she had done in a couple of years. I think she had kind of, like, semi-retired. She got married. But, I mean, why
taking it back to a little bit.
Yeah, why wouldn't you do this movie? I mean, it was.
I know.
And I've never cared much for Timothée Chalamet just because I don't think I've like cared for the movies he's chosen. I mean, I loved Call Me by Your Name. I mean,
he's so good in that.
That movie was fantastic. I really want to see the movie he did with Steve Carell, where he plays, I think, like a drug addict.
It's pretty good. He's actually like the movie overall, like it's good. I do have my problems with it, but he is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually still one of his best performances by far. A beautiful boy.
Yeah. I think he's a great actor, and I mean, he's so young and successful and all of that. But like Little Women, there were a lot of movies he did that I just never saw because they weren't my kind of movie. But I loved him in this. And from what I know of him, it seemed like this was a very different role that he had never done before. Right? Like kind of like the slacker, just like didn't give a shit. Like
kind of, because like yeah, Lady Bird is
Yeah.
one.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yep.
Yeah, and in that movie, he's kind of this like pretentious college kid who's like, "Oh, I'm reading Wealth of Nations. Have you ever read that before?" You know, like he's like he just. But yeah, I think this is one of the first movies where I've seen where he's like, yeah, he's this like slacker stoner kind of like who gives a fuck kind of person. And yeah, you're right, and especially coming off of like Dune, where he's Paul
Yeah,
Atreides. He's
yeah.
like the son of a king, and he's like super stoic. So yeah, it's like. Yeah, I like seeing the different roles he's been taking, and you know, for a while I thought he was kind of overrated, but I definitely see his talent for sure now. I like him a lot. And he is very funny in this. He's definitely one of the funnier characters in this movie for sure.
I'm very excited for him to play Wonka in a prequel.
Yeah, that's gonna be
'cause I-
fascinating.
I mean, when you see the Johnny Depp Wonka, and he's like overseas, I think in like Vietnam, and he discovers the Oompa Loompas, their cacao plants, whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
yep.
I wonder if this movie is also going into like Wonka in like the war, and I don't know. This movie just seems like a drama. Like, it's not going to be. I don't know. Then again,
I
it might
mean,
just be.
the screenshots, he looks like he's wearing his traditional like purple outfit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with it. But I think now I'm like, okay, I think Timothy actually is a great choice.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's gonna be fantastic. Whatever happens.
Yeah, that should be an
Yeah.
interesting one. We'll definitely have to do a episode on that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think something else we're gonna announce. Of course, definitely follow us on social media.
Yes,
Um,
Facebook. We're on Twitter. We don't use Twitter as much. Maybe we will in the future, but Facebook for sure. Instagram. And obviously, if you're not watching this, we do have a YouTube channel. We do post. We do audio and we have video to back it up as well. So if you want to actually watch us, look at our pretty faces, go on YouTube and comment. Yes, please. Like comment on our YouTube. Comment on our Facebook post. You know, let us know what you thought. What do you think of Don't Look Up? What do you think of Adam McKay? Disagree? Agree? We like to know. We would like to know. We'd like to respond to you as well.
Yeah, we're on there as theweiliotispodcast.com. And most of our social, I think, is just Weiliotis Podcast. And then we also want to announce we're excited. We're starting up a new website called layriota.com. LAYRIOTA.com. We always, our tagline as the Weiliotis Podcast is we are not a Ray Liotta podcast. It just sounds like that with our names put together. Lay Riota is basically between seasonal depression, COVID, lockdown, breakups, whatever it is. People need recommendations, and Tom and I are good at recommending things. So basically, we started a website where you just ask any recommendation you want. You can say, I like horror, but I don't like torture movies. I really like Liev Schreiber in X-Men. What else has he done? Give me something. I'm looking for a new 30-minute show, and I only have Hulu. Basically, you ask us a question. It's not AI. It's not anything like that. We're going to respond to you when, we're going to respond to you directly. We're going to kind of tie it into our own social. It's just a very simple website that will, build up the search library as we respond. But any questions you have, even if you're just like, hey, I need a movie to watch today, or hey, I have a quick hour and 20 minutes, what 1990s rom-com do you recommend? We will give you recommendations. Of course, check out the 20 movies we reviewed on our podcast so far.
Yeah, and also I've never done this before, but I want to mention that if you're on this website called Letterboxd, Mikey's on there too. I'm on there as well. So just type my name, Tom Weiliotis. I'm on Letterboxd. Follow me. I'm very particular. I try my best to keep up with every single movie I watch, so you can kind of keep track. I have a diary. I have multiple lists. I kind of keep everything up to date, and I try to do some written reviews as well. I want to get back more into that, but yeah, if you're on Letterboxd, go follow me, man. It's a great website, especially if you like to keep track of everything you watch. But
yeah. Any closing words on? This is a Netflix movie. Do Netflix movies leave Netflix?
You mean like as far as like going on other streaming platforms or like?
Yeah.
No. I think if it's Netflix created, it's only Netflix. Like you gotta subscribe to them to watch it. Okay. So obviously that's the only way you can watch it. But no, closing words. I would say that like I said, I do really like this movie a lot, and I think that I hope in certain ways, I hope it is kind of a wake up call. I hope people from this take like, no, like we shouldn't just accept what we see on TV. We shouldn't just accept the inaction of our politicians, especially considering how much power and how much we pay them. So hopefully this is something of a wake up call towards certain events like the pandemic we're dealing with. And I don't know. Other than that, as just a movie itself, it's funny, it's scary, it's unique. I like it a lot.
You kind of just hope a couple Trump supporters are like, "Oh wow, he was like that, wasn't he? That was pretty
Right.
bad." But then again, they're probably watching this, be like, "A woman president? No way."
Yeah, that's never gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, my closing words are funny, realistic, relative, hard to watch, brilliant, sad, every emotion you can think of, and just yeah, maybe too soon, but still
Maybe, yeah.
still worth watching because it's relatable. And I guess, a lot of people like to take hard stuff and put it into a light humor spin, and that's what this movie is in. It's like, hey, you know what we've been going through for the past 2+ years? Watch Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence make light of it. So it's a very funny movie. It's a nice watch with the family. I spent most of the movie doing this, like looking back at my parents, my Nana just going.
Yeah, I also watched this with my parents back when I was sick with COVID. I don't think I mentioned that, but I got COVID and was back home, so we watched this. We all liked it, and then I watched it again a couple days ago to prepare for this with my roommate. And like I said, I loved it even more a second time.
Yep, you notice a lot more the second time around, the subtle parts of it, and it was cool because it was filmed so close to me. I remember like the first day on set, Jennifer Lawrence got glass in her eye, and like the rest of the production had.
I didn't know that. Wow, that sucks.
I wonder if that's why they made her a stoner in it, because it would make sense that her eyes were red the whole movie.
Yeah, and just yeah.
yeah. I don't know, but I do remember that Ron Perlman being out here with the gun, and
that's cool.
Yeah. A lot of movies being filmed in Boston these days, of course.
Oh, for sure. And by the, I almost forgot to mention too. When we were talking about Spider-Man, there's a scene in it because they're all like trying to go to MIT. And he goes, yeah, I could be Spider-Man in Boston. They got crime there. I thought that was a great line.
Yeah.
A Boston good. Spider-Man. That'd be great.
Yeah. It's like when I saw Black... What was the Ku Klux Klan movie that...
Black Klansman? With
Black Klansman.
Spike Jonze movie, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that in Denver, and the movie was filmed... The movie takes place in Colorado Springs. Yes, and at one point they talk about going up to Denver to this neighborhood, and one of the cops is like, I don't want to go up there. That neighborhood's way too scary. And current day, that had become a super gentrified, like brewery hopping part of Denver. So everybody in the movie theater laughed along to that one scene because of how much it had changed over time. So I like when things give you that. That's why I loved watching that Joshua Jackson show that I just finished.
The Amazon Prime one, or
no, the J.J. Abrams show.
I don't know what he's working on right now.
No, I just finished it. Fringe.
Oh, yeah.
That takes place in Boston, and it's pretty much like Twilight Zone meets Lost in Boston and X-Files. So I thought that was cool because, it's Charlestown, it's this, and it's Harvard, and it's MIT, and all that. So
yeah, cool. No, there's a lot more Boston-based stuff. I mean, I just finished Kevin Can F Himself, and there was 2 shots in that show of places I've been to. One of which Cape Cod Pizza or Cape Cod Cafe, which is like one of the, in my opinion, one of the best restaurants. The Brockton one is one of the best restaurants in Massachusetts. I love that place. I freaked out when I saw it. Because bar pizza is such a specific like cultural thing in South Shore, Massachusetts. So I love that. I love seeing the state represented. It's cool.
We're gonna see how far I am from Cape Cod Pizza.
Yeah, and Brockton, Mass. You're probably my guess. You're probably like 30 minutes from it. My guess, maybe. That's not bad. Maybe a little more. It all depends.
What do you recommend there?
Oh, just going for the pizza. Any pizza. Their bar pizza is fantastic, and they have the Greek salad. Fantastic.
42. They ship nationwide.
Yeah, you should be able to find their pizzas frozen. They have their frozen pizzas in the supermarkets. Also, damn good. Yeah, so good.
$20 off your first order. When's your birthday, Tom?
December 2nd.
All right, I got 11 months to plan to get your pizza delivered to your.
Yo, if you send me a pizza to San Diego, I'd be ecstatic. I might cry.
Free shipping. 8 pizzas for $150. That's not bad.
8 pizzas for $150?
Yeah, free shipping too. 2 cheese. You can do other things. Oh, you can even pay with interest too. That's pretty cool.
So eight pizzas to ship.
Yep.
Okay,
$150.
that makes more sense. I was for a second, I'm like, wait, just for the pizza? I mean, that'd be kind of a lot. But no, to ship, I guess that makes sense.
$20 a pizza, free shipping about. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Well,
maybe
you know how to you know what to get me now. So
maybe there'll be another sponsor. If anybody's listening,
Oh my
and you
God.
want to buy Tom something, Cape Cod Pizza.
yo, that'd be great. Well, at least it's a little more local to you now. But yeah, local sponsorship would be really cool.
That would. Well,
yeah.
Find us online, Weiliotis Podcast, layriota.com. Check us out. Thank you for listening. We'll be back hopefully next week with another episode. We're just gonna keep doing episodes, and if you want to come on, if you know anybody who wants to come on, if you have a movie you love, if you were in a movie,
yeah, hit us up. Just message us directly on Facebook or something. We'll get back to you for sure.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.